Hi everyone, it's Meredith, your evolutionary astrologer, and today I want to talk to you guys about a little technique that I want you to think about in astrology. And it's going to be really interesting, but we're going to talk about the different degrees in astrology. So you know that there are 12 signs in astrology, and there are 30 degrees per sign. Now, why is this important? Well, each degree means something different, and the degrees in relationship to the different planets in your chart create an aspect. And that aspect is the dance between those two planets. And if you don't know the degrees, then you cannot know your aspects. And the aspects are absolutely critical to understand. In today's video, though, I'm going to teach you just about 3 very important degrees: the 0 degree, the 29th degree, and the 15th degree. And then I want you to go look at your gorgeous natal chart. Hopefully you already have one. And if not, you can purchase one in my shop. The link is in the notes below, and you can get an absolutely gorgeous natal chart that I've designed myself for just a couple dollars. You can look and see very clearly where the degrees are in your chart. I want you to pull out your chart while you watch this video, and I want you to look for the degrees that I am referring to. Now, not everybody's going to have a 0 degree, a 15 degree, or a 29 degree planet. However, you will have 0 degrees, 15 degrees, and 29 degrees, each one of those degrees 12 different times in your chart, because there's 12 different constellations. You are going to love this technique, and you're going to love this little trick, because it's going to really help you understand your own chart far more deeply than just knowing, oh, I'm a sun sign Virgo, or oh, my moon is in Gemini. You need to know the degrees in which your planets sit at. And I also really want you to know the degrees of your house cusps. You ready to go deep? Let's dive in. So the first thing I want to tell you is that if you have a planet that is sitting at 0 degrees, or if one of the main arteries in your chart is at 0 degrees. Now, the main arteries are the Ascendant, the Descendant, the MC, or the IC. If any one of those main arteries are at 0 degrees, that's pretty profound. Now, if you have a planet, tell me which planet in which sign you have at 0 degrees. If you have the moon or one of those main arteries, the Ascendant, the Descendant, the IC, or the Midheaven at 0 degrees, you really need to double check your birth time, because those move very, very quickly. The Ascendant is going to shift a whole degree every 7 minutes, and the moon is clips at a very, very, very fast pace. And so if you're off even by a couple of minutes, your moon sign can change. And a 1 degree is not a 0 degree. I am talking about a 0 degree. Now, a 0 degree can look like 0, 0, 0, 0, or it can look like 0, 0, 0, 1. Every degree is made up by 59 minutes. So you could be a 0 degree, 59 minute Aries. Well, that is not a 1 degree. I want to talk about the rising sign right now, and I'm going to show you an example right here. This is not my gorgeous natal chart. On this computer, I have to work with this, and my gorgeous natal charts look like this. Woo! They are way more beautiful than what I'm working with, but I didn't have time to change my design on my own computer, but we built that in our store. So you will get the prettier version. Okay, so this is March 8th in Seattle, Washington, and I want to show you the 29th degree versus the 0 degree. So right here, we have 29 degrees. Now you can see at 4:20, it switched from the 29th degree to 0 degrees. And do you see it right here where it says 0, 0? Now, this is very, very clear, right? And this is extremely different at 0 degrees rising than 29 degrees rising. It's very different. Now, it's not just different because it moved from Leo to Virgo, although it is different because it moved from Leo to Virgo, but it moved from 29 degrees to 0 degrees. And so I don't want to personally give anybody a 29-degree rising sign if they didn't contract into that energy, nor do I want to give somebody a 0-degree rising sign if they really were born just 2 minutes earlier or 5 minutes earlier, and they got a 29 degree. On that day, March 8th, 2023, if you were born at 4:15 p.m. in Seattle, Washington, 4:16, 4:17, 4:18, or 4:19, you still have a 29-degree rising sign. It's just that it's going through the minutes. And then it's not until you get to 4:20 does it turn to 0 degrees. So it's very important that you realize how fast this goes when we're making a wheel. And so if you were born at 4:19 p.m. on March 8th, 2023, you have a 29 degree, 49 minute rising sign. Now, if you're born at 4:20, you have a 0 degree rising sign. I'm trying to show you how minuscule the margin is. It is gargantuan in meaning and it's minuscule in time. Now, not everybody is born at the moment it changes. Now, this happens for all of the planets too. And if you are born on the last day that the sun is in that zodiac sign, you really need to know your birth time because it's going to change into the next sign. So you can be born on a 29 degree 1 minute sign. You can be born on a 29 degree 2 minute, 29.3, 29.4. I want you to know that it goes up to 29, 59 minutes. It never gets to 60. When it gets to 29.59, the next breath, it goes to 0 degrees. Are you guys following me? Please tell me you're following me. Hopefully my visuals will help. Okay, so I also want you to know that the moon moves approximately 1 degree per every 4 minutes. So that's pretty fast, right? And so if you have a 29 degree moon, and if it's at the beginning of the 29th degree, so 29 degrees, 0 minutes, it's going to take 4 full minutes for you to get a 0 degree moon in the next sign. But how many moms are off by 4 minutes, or how many birth certificates rounded up, or how many clocks are wrong? And so this video is really important for you to listen to if you have been designated a 29 degree moon or rising, because those move so fast. The sun moves 1 degree a day. So we don't need a birth time to figure out if you are, a Virgo or a Libra, unless you are born at the hour in which it changed. That can be kind of a big deal. So if you're born with a sun sign that says something like 29 degrees, 59 minutes, well, not only are you born on the last day of that sun sign, you are born at the last moment that sun was in that sign, and that I would double check. So if you've got a sun sign that says 29 degrees, 58 minutes, double check your birth time because it is shifting into the next sign. Now, I want to tell you something here. There is a line in the sand. A 29 degree, 59 minute Leo is just that. That person is not a Virgo. A 29 degree, 58 minute Capricorn is not an Aquarius. So if you feel like you have a 29 degree late minute sun sign, 2957 Capricorn, but you're like, I feel like an Aquarius, and you look at your chart and you only have Mercury and Venus in Aquarius and you don't relate at all to Capricorn, double check your birthday. You could have a lot of 11th house planets. You could have other Aquarius chart signatures, even though you are that Capricorn, or your birth time could just be wrong. Truthfully, this is where I'm a myth buster. And you guys know, if you've been learning from me, that I tell you the truth about astrology because there's a lot of myths out there that are just not true. So if you are a late Capricorn, let's say 29 degrees, 55 minutes, let's say, but you feel like an Aquarius, well, I guarantee you must have Aquarius chart signatures. You have your moon, you have your Saturn, your ruler in Aquarius, you have your Mercury or your Venus or your Mars, something is in Aquarius. But You do not feel like an Aquarius because you are a late Capricorn. A Capricorn is a Capricorn is a Capricorn is a Capricorn. A dog is not a cat, and a cat is not a dog. A cat is a cat, and a dog is a dog, and an alligator is an alligator. Okay. So if you are born a Capricorn, even a late Capricorn, you are not on the cusp. And so therefore you feel like the other side. No, it means that, can you hear me? Like the irritation in me? I get so irritated when astrologers give misinformation on this subject. The reason why you would feel like an Aquarius is because you also have Aquarius chart signatures inside your chart. Let's go back to, what does it mean to have a 29 degree? What does it mean to have a 0 degree? And what does it mean to have a 15 degree anything? Now, I want you guys to look at your main arteries as well. And that is the ascendant, the descendant, the midhaven, and the IC. And those are really important if you have 0 degree markers. And it can be 0 degree 59 minutes. And that is still 0 degrees. That is not 1 degree. That is 1 second away from 1 degree. Are you guys with me? I mean, it is really black and white. This is the science part. This is not the art part. And by the way, if you come learn with me in my retreat that I'm having in person at Seattle's Pike Place Market, it's going to be amazing here on May 18, 19, 20, and 21. We'll get to meet each other. I only have 40 spaces available, but I am going to teach you the science and the art and how to synthesize it to create the story. And that's what I'm doing today, is I'm showing you how the science creates the story. Okay. The story does not create the science. The science creates the story. Are you guys with me? Anyways, we are going to have so much fun at my workshop and retreat because I'm going to show you how to put these things together. And it's really important that you get these smart concepts inside of you so you know how to work with the energy. The fastest moving parts of the chart are the house cusps. The most important house cusps are the 4 that I talked about, the major arteries. Rising sign, of course, it's one of the major arteries, and the moon. The sun only if you've got it at like 29:59, because it takes a full day. And all the other planets, Mercury eclipses faster than the sun, but it just isn't relevant unless you have it at like the 29:59. Yes, I would go and double check your birthday. So I'm not that concerned about Mercury because you'd have to be off by at least 5 hours for you to get a different Mercury sign. Almost 6 hours, about 5 hours and 50 minutes for it to move a full degree. The moon is going to take almost 2 hours to move a degree. So it's actually 1 hour and 50 minutes. And the ascendant is going to move about every 4 or 5 minutes. Those are the main things that we want to think about. And you can only really know your genuine placement of the moon and your house cusps and that rising sign if you know the time that you were born. For Venus, it takes 15 hours to move a degree. The sun, of course, I already told you, it takes a full day. Mars, it takes 45 hours, so almost 2 full days. Jupiter, it takes almost 300 hours. I don't know how many days that is. Saturn, to move 1 degree. Saturn, it takes a little more than 700 hours to move a degree. Uranus, over 2,000 hours, Neptune over 4,000 hours, Pluto over 6,000 hours to move a degree. So we're not that worried. So if your Pluto is at 28 degrees, then your Pluto is not at 29 degrees. Okay. Are you guys with me? I mean, again, it's really, really black and white. If you are born with a planet, any planet at the 29th degree, this is a degree. This is a planet that I feel is extremely critical. And this is what we would call the anaretic degree or the final degree or the critical degree. It is the very last degree of the sign before it ingresses, ingresses into the next sign. So I want you to think of the 29th degree as Piscean energy. I want you to think of the 0 degrees as Aries energy. And if you can do that, you can kind of understand this energy a little bit better. When you have a planet that is at the 29th degree or an ascendant or a house cusp or one of those 4 major arteries, as I like to call it, that place in your chart is sensitive. It is vulnerable. If you have your moon or your sun or your Venus or your Mars or your Mercury at that 29th degree, even if it's 2900, there is a feeling of finality. There is a melancholy nature to this 29th degree because the light is leaving, but the new light, the 0 degree light, has not yet been born. So there is a goodbye sense. There is a vulnerability. There is a longing. There might be an ache, something to sincerely overcome. When I see 29 degree people with prominent 29 degree positions in their chart, I know that this person will have probably a lifelong challenge, a lifelong dance, a lifelong mission to resolve and come to terms with the issues of that planetary placement, of the aspects that feed into that planetary placement. So the aspects coming from different planets and that house position. They incarnated at birth to tackle that very challenge. Now, I want to say something that's really, really important. And this is one of the things I do in every single reading almost, if I have time and if it's relevant, which it usually is. And that is that I do this in my own life with my own chart, is I go and I look at the progressed chart to see when the moon, when the rising, and when the sun, or when any planets are going to progress into the 29th degree, because I know that person is going to step into challenges. So if I know that the person was born with a 27th degree sun or a 27, 28, or 29 degree planet, I will go and look at exactly the day and the time that it will progress into the 29th degree. Now, we know that if it's a Mars or a Pluto or a Uranus or an outer planet, it's going to take a lot more time. But we can do the math in our head. If you're born on the 28th degree, well, we know in 1 year, your sun, by progression, will sit at the 29th degree. They progress 1 degree per 1 year's time. I can know when that critical degree is going to happen. And if that confuses you, which it probably will confuse a lot of people, just go buy my Astro Gold package and you'll be able to see where all your progressed planets are. I've told a lot of stories and I've done a couple of these for my members only. If you're not a member, I hope you will become a member, and you can pick your level, $2.99 or $19.99, and get all my behind the scenes videos where I teach you in-depth real astrology. And I have done some work on the 29th degree. When you have a progressed sun at the 29th degree, it's a time when you are saying goodbye to your life as you know it. It's not a Saturn return feeling. It's more of a phasing out of that which no longer works. You're outgrowing the past themes and you're about to be born anew. And so I think the progressed chart is super, super important in looking at your degrees. And if you know that your moon sign, by progression is at 28 degrees, well, it's just about to sit at the 29th degree and you're about to step into the critical degree around your heart. And if you know that you're sitting by progression on the 29th degree of your sun sign, you know that your soul is about to enter a critical stage of life. I really pay attention to 29, the anaretic degree, the 29th degree in the progressed chart. And that is one of the very first things I do to show me where you're at in your life. That's a little bit of a tangent. That's not the part that I want to teach. Where do you have the 29th degrees in your chart? Now, you're going to have the 29th degree, again, 12 times in your chart somewhere, but is a planet sitting on them? Or is that a major artery? Because if so, it's very profound and it's very loud. I will tell you a little secret story. I met my husband and I did his chart. I noticed that he had Venus at the 29th degree. Now, it doesn't even matter what sign Venus is in as much as the 29th degree matters. And when I looked at that, I just went, oh my God, this poor man. He has been heartbroken. Why? Because it's Venus. His Venus is at 29 degrees. So I started to ask him these personal questions about his life after we started dating, about tell me about your childhood, tell me about your love life, tell me about who has broken your heart. These are Venus stories, right? He started to open up to me about his life. It was very, very interesting. One of the things he told me, now remember, this is his natal chart. I know he has a 29-degree Venus. Well, it turned out that he was adopted. Now, not everybody who is adopted has a hard story or has a hard life, but I noticed that the sign by progression changed at about 6 months. So at about 6 months, it ingressed into the next sign. So he became free of the 29th degree by progression. Are you guys following me? So I asked him, where was he for the first 6 months of his life? And he said, I don't really know. And I said, well, were you adopted? He said, well, let me call my aunt. I'm going to figure this out. Well, long story short, it turns out that he was living in the hospital. He was not yet even adopted. So for the first 6 months of his life, what do you think resonated in that soul, in that little baby soul of his, right? Is anyone going to take me? Oh, a different lady's holding me. Oh, a different lady now. Oh, a different lady now. Oh, a different lady now, right? The nursing staff? Am I going to have a mom? Am I going to have a dad? Am I going to have a family? I mean, I can only imagine. And don't think it doesn't matter what happens in the first 6 months just because you can't remember. And he went on to tell me that he got the best mom and he had the best life. Adopted mother loved him so much. And I was like, yeah, after 6 months. But those first 6 months were critical. And he's like, how do you know all this? Like, I'm an astrologer. What do you do for a living? Anyways, that was back when we were dating. You know, he doesn't live in that space. He didn't live in that pain, but I could see it in the chart. And that's when I started to really profoundly understand the depth of this 29th degree. He wasn't born on the 0 degree. No. He wasn't born 6 months later. So I want you to understand your 29 degrees. What planet do you have 29 degrees at? The 29th degree, I'm going to be honest with you, it brings pain to overcome. Now, plenty of incredible human beings, Billie Jean King, Ed Sheeran, Michael Jordan, Elizabeth Taylor, I'm not sure. Don't quote me. Plenty of incredible human beings have been born on the 29th degree or have planets at the 29th degree. It's just that they have to overcome something in order to prevail. Also, when their planetary shift occurs and that sign moves out of the 29th by progression and into the 0 degrees, oftentimes you get free from that critical degrees burden and you step into empowerment. And so that's why the progress chart is so important to understand. I sell that in the Astro Gold Package, and I give you your progress chart, and then I give you your progressed report so you can start understanding your progressions. So one of the videos I have done recently is Pluto sitting at the 29th degree, which ushered in pretty much all the crazy ass energy that we're experiencing right now. And we have a whole nother year of it in Capricorn. And if you haven't seen that video, I really recommend you watch that video because we're all like held captive with this anaretic degree of Pluto in Capricorn. It's kind of tough going. Pluto is a collective planet. It's not a personal planet. It's not like the moon. And so we're seeing it out there in the world. And I talk extensively about it. If you have a 29th degree, yes, my heart goes out to you. And I just want to say that I love you. And it certainly packs a very serious and sort of perilous punch to you. It's sort of gut-wrenching. It can sort of feel melancholy. It can feel like low energy. It can feel emotional sadness. It can feel like a darkness, and it can take you into an ache and a pain. However, it can be overcome, and there is triumph. There is character built out of crises. There is strength and ferocity and tenacity that can be born from the trials and tribulations of what came with that 29th degree. We are seeing, I don't know if you guys are watching on social media what it looks like in the Ukraine, but that's what the 29th degree feels like sometimes. Also, it can feel quite glorious, if you will, to overcome those challenges. You might be a person who has more character, fight inside of you, and more tenacity. Hopefully, it doesn't swallow you up. And it feels melancholy like a Pisces, the sadness of loss. There's a little bit of an ache in the 29th degree. And if you guys like this subject matter and you want more information on it, because I'll tell you, not a lot of astrologers talk about the 29th degree. I studied the 29th degree with one of my favorite astrologers, Frank Clifford, out of London. I love him. I give him credit for my work on the 29th degree. And he's really the only astrologer that I know that has spent a lot of time on the subject matter. Anybody else who's been talking about the 29th degree, I think they have learned it more recently, which is good because I want the information to get out there because the 29th degree is really important. When I look at a person's chart and when I see that their sun has progressed into the 29th degree, and if you live to 90 years old, you probably will get 3 progressions of your sun sign being at the 29th degree. So it doesn't happen very often. Of course, it depends on what degree your sun sign is at the time you were born. So if you're born on a late degree, you might get 4. If you're born on an earlier degree, you might get 3. It takes about 30 years for the sun to progress to the 29th degree from 0 degrees. When I see a person who has a 29th degree, it is a year of losing things. It is not a year to start a new relationship, but it is a year to start planning on how to get out of the life you've built for yourself and what new life you want to build for yourself, and to wait until the sun progresses to 0 degrees before you get into a new relationship or you really step into the newness of your life. I don't feel that way necessarily about buying a car, buying a house, but I do feel that way if you really want to give your relationship a chance to last for the next 30 years. So I will tell you, though, one girlfriend came to me and I did a reading for her and she thought she met the love of her life. And I opened up her chart and I'm like, let me progress this real quick to see if you're at a 0 degrees or not. Oh no, she was at a 29th degree. And I was like, it's not going to work. There's just no way it's going to work. Nope, she didn't believe me. And it was beyond devastating. I mean, just beyond devastating. The guy turned out to be a liar, a cheater. He was living with another woman. He was gay. He was into threesomes. He was a total swinger and he had a false identity. It was bad. So I don't usually recommend that we start a brand new relationship in the 29th degree of a progressed sun sign. 0 degrees is very interesting because this is when energy wants to take off. This is new beginnings. This is one of the brightest times of your life. This is like Aries energy. There's a pop, there's a bang, there's a sizzle, there's a boom. And if you don't know what Aries energy means, please go watch my entire Aries playlist and listen to every single thing I say in my Aries playlist. And that's what 0 degrees feels like. There is a new beginning. There is a birth. There is an easy energy to harness. I'll tell you, Matt Dillon and John Travolta are 2 people, Yoko Ono too, are 3 people that were born, I believe, on a 0 degree. I'm not positive. I'd have to double check because I didn't look up their charts. I just know they were born on February 18th and I have a feeling they're 0 degree. I will tell you that the 0 degree is a baby degree, like wah, wah. It's not very grown up and it's not very mature. So it doesn't come with a ton of wisdom, but it comes with a ton of like energy, torque, power, thrust, desire, passion. Like, I want that, I want that, I want that. Enthusiasm, competitiveness, large and in charge. It comes with a desire to win and to play, but it's not necessarily savvy. I'll be honest with you, the 29th degree comes with melancholy wisdom. It comes with not a lot of confidence because it feels a loss. The 0 degrees comes with more confidence, but not a lot of wisdom. And so the shift from the 29th to the 0 just feels kind of crazy. It's like, whoa, I was so depressed and I just didn't feel like I had it. Then when the 0 degrees came, you have all the passion in the world to make all the changes. And you also have the wisdom that you gleaned from the 29th degree. So to say that I love the 0 degree or the 1st degree is an understatement. I adore 0 degrees. I adore 1, 2, and 3 degrees. So look in your chart. Do you have a 1? Do you have a 2 degrees? Do you have a 3 degrees? Because you are coming from a place of wisdom, probably in your last lifetime. And if you have this by progression, then it's this lifetime that your planet probably sat at the 29th degree. You now can do something with it. So the 0 degrees has a drive. It has rocket fuel. If you've ever seen a rocket launch, that's what the 0 degrees feels like. So if you have 0 degrees on your rising, it's like, world, oh my God, you can't even mess with me if you wanted to. If you have a 0 degrees at the midhaven, it's like career, legacy, place in the world, step aside. I'm in town, right? There's this confidence. Now, I'm not saying that you won't experience anything hard. Oh, you will, because you don't have the wisdom yet in that arena that you probably need. You're probably going to get kicked in the teeth a little bit, right? Because you're going to be a little bit too big, too bold, too loud. Watch my Aries playlist. Too much, too confident, too this. And you're going to be a little hard-headed, and you're not going to learn the art of subtlety until it's knocked into you. However, it is power. And if you have things at the 29th degree and the 0 degree, wow, you got the wisdom and the power. And I want to know, what do you got? Those planets are talking to each other because they're only 1 degree apart. Doesn't matter in what sign, doesn't matter in what aspect, those planets are connected to one another. And the 29 degree planet is giving you the wisdom, and the 0 degree planet is giving you the confidence. So if you are that person and you have both the 29th degree and the 0 degree in your chart, tell me what planets they're in, what signs are they in, and what houses are they in, and tell me about you. Tell me your story. I want to know. By the way, if you've joined my channel, I try so hard to prioritize your comments and write you back. I'm getting a lot of people, so I just want you to know that I really do try to answer every single super supporters comment. It isn't necessarily better to be born with a 0 degree. It might feel a little bit more comfortable, like I am what I am, what I am, what I am. Popeye, I am who I say I am. I'm very like large and in charge and in your face, and my energy is my energy. And the 29th degree comes with more melancholy. It comes with sensitivity, emotionalism, loss, suffering, a little bit of a problem to overcome. But I won't say it's worse. I will say it does make my heart have empathy and sympathy for you. It makes me want to know your story. So if it's a rising sign, if it is a sun sign, a moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, it probably will progress to a 0 degrees. And on that day, it's like you got unchained, you got the keys to the jail, and you found your new freedom and your strength and your power, and you probably gleaned wisdom. It reminds me a little bit of the movie Mercy that Jamie Foxx was in. If you haven't watched that, it's a brilliant movie. There's a freedom. There's a newfound freedom and a newfound power. If you're born into a 0 degree, it's going to take you 30 years, 29 years for it to progress to the 29th degree if it's your sun sign. And that's a lot of time. And so that's a lot of years to glean some wisdom. Your moon, by progression, is going to progress to the 29th degree every 2.5 years. And let me tell you, it's a real thing. It is a real thing. It doesn't even matter which sign it is, but if your moon progresses to the 29th degree in a sign that is in a heavy place in your chart, you will feel it to a gargantuan amount, I should say. You will feel it so huge. However, if your moon progresses to the 29th degree, but it's in harmony with your natal chart or your progress chart, it doesn't matter. You won't feel the troubling time, the challenge quite as loudly. It does matter the sign. So when my moon progressed into the 29th degree of Scorpio, I am telling you, this messed with me so hard. First of all, it stopped me dead in my tracks because I got COVID for the very first time. Second of all, Christmas was totally ruined. The holidays were completely ruined. Third of all, I had 7 people staying in my house and everybody got COVID. I was worried sick about my husband. I just didn't know if he was going to live through it. And my daughter was extraordinarily ill. I did the best, but still, as a mom and a wife, I was just aching for them. It was god awful. Not only that, I lost my whole desire to socialize. I became kind of reclusive. I had all of my friends, like 5 of them, literally pack up and move away. And I was just like, so alone. That was really fitting because that progressed moon sat right on my south node and in the 4th house of the cave, right? And so it made sense. So I want you to look at that progressed chart and I want you to think about if the progressed sign is in compatibility or in challenge with your natal chart and your progress chart. So within the progress chart, and then also when you are looking at it in relationship to the planets in your own natal chart. Let's say your moon is sitting at the 29th degree Aquarius, right? By progression, but your natal sun is, let's say it's 25 degrees Leo. Well, we know that a 29 degree progressed Aquarius moon is a hard moon regardless. The Aquarius moon, I think, is the hardest moon to have out of the whole zodiac. And now you put a 29 degree on it. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really, really tough on Aquarius subjects. You might have to reevaluate some of your friendships or the communities and groups in which you are living in. And now let's say it is in opposition to your identity. It's going to be uncomfortable. And that's a little trick and a little tip. Now, I know this is over some people's heads. That's why I'm like, you can go get the Astro Gold package and you can look and see where your progressions are. But let's go back and talk about it natally in the chart. Most of the planets, even Saturn, will progress off of the 29th degree over your lifetime. So please know that. The second thing is that it's not doom and gloom if you're born with a 29th degree. It is an opportunity to rise above, strengthen your character, build character out of crises, and know that you chose this contract to grow and to grow your wisdom. And you will come out wiser, stronger, and probably better. Like going back to my husband, he's one of the most loving human beings I've ever met in my entire lifetime. And I think it's because he doesn't take love for granted, because he was born with Venus at 29 degrees. Let's talk about the 15th degree. The 15th degree is very interesting. Okay, so I'm going to even say when a planet is at the 14th, 15, or 16, but really I'm talking about the 15th, but I'll give it to you on the 14th and the 16th as well. Now, I will make a small confession here, and I don't talk about my chart very often or very much, except in my members only videos, and then I share a lot more personal details. But I was born with a 15 degree sun. I speak about this with experience as well, and what I've read in the thousands of readings that I've done. If you have your whatever planets you have, or your rising sign, or the major arteries between 14 and 16, but especially 15, it's almost like that sign, it becomes quintessential of that energy. That's the purest point of that sign, because it's exactly halfway in and halfway out. And so I want you to think of it like that's where that sign is its strongest. Now, I'm not saying the best, but it is where that sign is like chiseled in to its own energy. So a 15 degree Gemini is so Gemini, right? It isn't losing any energy or gaining any energy. It is a stake in the ground. And it is truly entrenched into the energy of that sign. When you're working with a 15 degree mutable sign, you are prone to be extraordinarily multitasking, diverse, mutable. This is the most versatile, flexible, adaptable, able to change placement for the mutable signs, okay? 15 degrees Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Gemini. Those are the most adaptable people of the zodiac. For fixed planets at that 15 degrees, this is where the signs become so solid, so strong in its permanence, like immovable, absolutely crystallized. They can become also sort of extra stuck. Taurus and Scorpio, Leo and Aquarius. This is where you get great strength at that 15 degrees. Maybe so strong that you're bullheaded and immovable, right? And also, I should say, with the mutable signs, maybe too scattered, too flexible, too adaptable, don't know what they really want, going in and out at the same time, up and down, back and forth. I want to be married and single. I want to be on and off. I want to be extroverted and introverted. I want to read a book and snow ski all at the same minute, right? Now, for the cardinal signs, these are the courageous degrees of the cardinal signs, because it takes a lot of courage and energy. The 15 degree cardinal signs have the ability to initiate with great passion, and they have great conviction. So I would say this is where these signs bring like serious conviction, drive, ambition, and a desire to blow through any challenges. So there's a different kind of strength. By the way, there's a different kind of strength in being adaptable. There's a different kind of strength in being fixed. And there's a different kind of strength in taking initiative and really conquering, having a desire to conquer something. I can say that on the flip side, that 15 degree cardinal energy can also be too challenging and create too much conflict. because that's what those cardinal signs do. They can really create a lot of conflict. That's Aries and Libra and Cancer and Capricorn. I want to tell you those 15 degrees is when the energy is quintessential or iconic or the deepest hue a color can be. If you like this information, what I can do is I can take you through what does it mean to have the 29th degree or the 0 degree per planet or placement. What I will say really quickly is let's talk about the ascendant. If the ascendant is at 29 degrees and you verified your birth time, because I want you to verify your birth time, you are born into a lifetime that will probably start off with a challenge. You might have been born into crisis. You might have been born into a family that was suffering or hurting. You might have been born into a problem. You might have been born into a situation that didn't know what to do with you. You might have been born into some sort of, well, I'll just say problem that needed to be solved. You also might have had a hard birth, like your mom might have had a hard birth with you. Now, that doesn't leave necessarily a permanent scar or a permanent negative thing, but it can be a very big part of your story. And you can kind of adopt a little bit of a melancholy for every hello and every new beginning, which I don't want you to. Now, I want you to know your rising sign progresses too. And so that will shift for you and change for you, but you probably will become a wiser, stronger human being out there in the world with greater empathy for other people because you were born with a 29 degree rising sign. If you were born with a 0 degree rising sign, I want you to double check that too, because you come in probably with more power than you know what to do with. You're probably a force to be reckoned with. You probably don't take no for an answer. You probably are a little bit too strong, too forceful, too gung-ho, right? For your own good. You probably have fallen on your head a few times, flipped over. Be careful that you don't go too fast on the jet ski, too fast in the car, too fast on your snow skis, too fast snowboarding. Fast and speed is the name of your game, and trying to catch an adrenaline, rush all the time. Grass is always greener. So there's probably a lot of movement. You also might have been too big for your own family in a way, like, oh God, what are we going to do with all this energy? You might keep your family on your toes. You also might be the first to do something in your family, the first to travel abroad, the first to live in a different country, the first to marry outside of your own race or religion, the first to, gender switch, the first to transform your family in some way, shape, or form. So is that you? Are you born on a 0 degree rising sign? And did you help transform, or were you the pioneer in your family? Were you the rocket launch? Were you the person who propelled the family forward? Also, you can shoulder a lot in life. You might need the wisdom to go along with your courage, right? However, there's something refreshing and engaging and exciting and exhilarating and optimistic and pop, pop, pop. And watch my Aries playlist. Even if you're a Virgo, even if you're a 0 degrees Virgo, I want you to apply the Aries playlist energy and definitions that I give you in that whole entire playlist to Virgo, but know that you have that kind of torque and power inside of you and inside of everything that you do. And if you're born with an ascendant at the 15th degree, it's like you are solidly that. You are literally born at the halfway mark. You don't need to check your birth time because it's going to be accurate, but you are like solidly that energy. It's almost like you are chocolate fudge ice cream, maybe just chocolate ice cream. You don't have, a ribbon of caramel and pistachios, and no, you are pure energy. That energy. And so I really do want you to understand that it is less about good or bad, and it is more about both are kind of hard, and how are you using the energy to get your way in life, to make your way in life, to create yourself, to build yourself, to grow yourself, and to lend to other people. If you are born with a large 29th degree somewhere in your chart, you are going to glean a wisdom over this lifetime that hopefully you will be able to share with others. Let's say you have a 29 degree on the midheaven. What that says is that your legacy, your calling, your career is going to be born a little bit out of a crisis. So I don't know, maybe you're on, American Idol or Star Search or America's Got Talent or The Voice or whatever. And you were told, your voice isn't that good, or you're not that talented. And you're like, you're devastated, right? What do you do with that devastation? What do you do with that devastation? Well, I bet you when that midheaven progresses to 0 you become a badass. Yeah. And you don't take no for an answer. And you become something phenomenal with it. But you probably become something phenomenal out of a challenge that has been given to you around your career. And if you have a 0 degree at the midheaven, you might have too much arrogance. Like confidence turns to arrogance. And you might have gotten, pushed down or like humbled in a way, right? Humility may have found you because you had so much confidence. You also probably really did create something phenomenal and didn't take no for an answer. It's just that you have a lot of rocket fuel for your career and you probably will end up being very, very successful. But learning how to dance with others, learning how to partner for career and legacy would be something really, really important. Now, if you have a 29 degree on your descendant, there's probably emotional heartbreak inside of relationships, which have made you wisen up. You probably have codependency issues that got you into trouble. And then when it progresses in your progressed chart, probably are like, I'm putting myself first, right? And I'm not going to do codependent relationships. I'm not going to be with people who have hurt me. And I am going to check that you are really who you say you are. And I'm not going to buy into our relationship too quick, too fast, too soon, because I am not going to get hurt. And if you have a 0 degrees there, you probably do move in on your relationships pretty quickly with a lot of power and a lot of passion and a lot of zest and a lot of ferocity. You might be really skilled at relationships if you can partner well. Now, the 0 degrees on the descendant says you want a relationship really, really badly, but it also might say that you act with too much haste. So I want to know your personal stories. Will you guys please leave comments? Tell me your story. How does the 0 degrees and the 29 degrees play out in your own chart? If you have the 29th degree on the 4th house cusp at the IC in between the 3rd and 4th house cusp, there was probably family crisis in your life. You probably have a family that suffered in some way. Maybe you come from a lineage of Holocaust survivors, or maybe you come from a lineage that is just abhorrent that you cannot stand being a part of, like, I don't know, Nazis or somebody, maybe you were persecuted or you come from a lineage of persecutors. Maybe there is some horrific crime or sadness inside your family. There might be secrets that you had to keep that were very painful for you. If you have a 0 degrees at the IC, there's probably a great amount of energy and ambition and courage was required to be inside your family. You might have had to take on bullies inside your family. You might have been the great black bear or protector of your family, the warrior spirit, or you come from a family of strong, courageous people who, went first in life. You might have been somebody who has a great amount of pride in their family. Where if you're born with the 29th degree, there might be something kind of embarrassing or something that is just makes you sort of want to separate from your family until you grow your own family. That's some differences on the 29th and the 0 degrees. Of course, we have to take into context the whole entire chart. And one of the things that we have to do in order to understand it is we have to look and see what that 29th degree and what that 0 degree especially are dancing with in aspect to other planets. If they're in harmony, for example, let's say you have a 29 degree Scorpio 4th house cusp, that's the IC, but you also have a 26 degree Cancer moon. Well, that Cancer moon benefits the melancholy of the 29th degree Scorpio on the IC for the 4th house. Do you get it? Now, let's say you have in square to that 29th degree Scorpio 4th house. Let's say you have it in Aquarius, Venus in Aquarius at 25 degrees, because I take an orb of 10 degrees, 10 degrees before, 10 degrees after of the 29th. And let's say you have no planets at 29 degrees Scorpio. Let's just say it's the IC, okay? Well, we know the IC represents the 4th house. If you don't know what the 4th house is, go watch my video called Sun in the 4th house, or you guys can all watch the video called Sun Through the Houses so you can learn what the houses are. But the 4th house is your family. So let's say you have a Venus in Aquarius squaring, that's negative aspect, to that 4th house cusp at 29 degrees Scorpio. I'm just making this up as I talk to you. That Venus is in conflict and makes that 4th house a little bit harder. Somehow you had to cut yourself off, Aquarius. You had to detach, Aquarius, from love, Venus, around your family. So if anybody actually has this real aspect, please, dear God, let me know. And you probably had to be a maverick and go at it alone or separate from your family, or you felt like you couldn't have a family, or you felt like you were an outcast, or you had to leave your family, or your family was taken from you, or your family left you, or your family wasn't able to love you in the way in which you uniquely needed to be loved. We can read these things pretty literal, right? And by the way, this is both the art and the science. So the science is the mathematical equation of the aspects of the houses, the 29th, the 15th, the 0 degrees. And the art is the synthesis. And that's what I want to teach you at my retreat. Please come and join me May 18, 19, 20, and 21 this year, 2023. And we are going to have just the best time. It is going to be incredible. And you can find tickets and tons of information, all my hotel recommendations and my restaurant recommendations on the link below. So I hope you guys like this video. I would love your feedback. I am doing my transits videos every month. I just did February and I did my extended content for all my super supporters and superstar super supporters. So I hope you love that content. Let me know if you did appreciate the extended for all 12 signs, because I'll do that every month for you guys. And if you're not a member, join and you will get my extended content and come learn astrology with me. I cannot wait to hear what you have to say in the comments from my house here in Seattle, gorgeous, beautiful Seattle, to wherever you are at in the world. I wish you the very, very best. Bye for now.